kings and queens, to this week's episode of the Coily Crowns. I'm Ashante.
And I'm Lori, and welcome to our queendom.
Make sure you hit that subscription button down below, like and share our channel.
Hello.
This week's episode of the Coily Clowns, we recap the Married at First Sight, episode number 14.
Yep.
And Dr. Pepper is back.
Come
again.
on, Dr. Pepper.
Listen, she making up for lost time.
Hello.
She was like, y'all miss me, huh? I'm coming back for a double round.
Yes.
So
I missed her. So yeah, come on back. Come on back, Dr. Pepper.
And I'm thinking the timing of this, maybe she's coming back because Dr. Viviana and Pastor Cal are taping or doing the other episode, the new series Unmatchable that's coming out. But we needed Dr. Pepper. She came to get them straight, and she came right back this week getting them all.
And she made up. She made up for letting Haley skate by last time.
Oh, we're going to get to Haley and Jacob. So let's start with Virginia and Eric. They start off the episode talking about, well, I'm going to get to where they were talking about how much she is talking to his family and he's not talking to hers. And I was like, interesting. And I wanted to ask you, did you think that's a big deal that one person is talking more to their family, their significant other's family members versus the other?
I think it's a big deal in the grand scheme of things. I think Virginia is seeing that Eric is all for himself. And so when you have somebody like that, you're going to nitpick everything down to the ground. You're going to be like, I'm calling your mom. Family is important to me. I'm talking to your dad. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. And you have not won. You don't even have my dad's number. How? And then his response is, well, I want his number. I want to talk to him. If you wanted it, why I had to bring it up? So I think she's just looking at everything like, and then there's this, and then there's this, and then there's this. So that's why it's a big deal to her right now.
Okay. Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Like, okay, is it that big of a deal? I can understand that because, again, this is a short amount of time that they all have to get to know each other, that you would probably want him to get to know your family and everything. But a lot of that happens over time. And I think it's a little too much pressure to be like, you need to be talking to my dad and my mom and whomever to get to know them. When they're still trying to get to know each other. And like Eric was saying, I'm focused kind of on you and trying to get to know you. But if you hadn't at least spoken to a family member, like when she's talking to them, do you not give the phone just to say hi or something? Didn't sound like
it. But it looks like she's not even talking to them like that, because even her sister said last episode, oh, I haven't talked to you in so long, because she's probably been investing so much time into kind of falling into his world. You know what I mean? So she's probably feeling that too. Like, dang, I don't even talk to my family like that. I talk to your family more than, I talk to my own. And you're not even putting any effort in order to do what I'm doing. So she was just over it.
Yeah. Okay. So also part of this episode, they are learning about each other growing up. So past seasons, they would go to the other person's hometown, the family home, and kind of get to know the backstory of that person. And so with this one, she went to Eric's house, right? So that's part of where this came up, by going to his house and seeing where he grew up. And then for her family was out of state. So she, they met up at a basketball court. And I actually thought it was kind of cute because she had her little basketball gear on and showing her as a basketball player growing up. And she was actually playing basketball with him. I was like, oh, that's a nice little bonding moment for the two of them.
It just reminded me how much he annoys me. I was just looking at him playing basketball. I was like, oh my God. He's like, oh, he got it again. She plays basketball. She don't get it again. And now it makes sense why she has a lot of guy friends. Because maybe
They're
that was
apathetic.
kind of her world, like sports and stuff like that. She probably got a lot of friends that way too. So I think I get that piece a little bit more.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, that makes sense.
but then before they meet up or whatever, I guess he finally calls her dad. And that phone conversation was so awkward to me. He was just like, yeah. So she told me that, I didn't do this as much. So I wanted to reach out to you because, I want to make sure that she's happy and she knows that I understand that families. But why are you telling him all this? Just if you want to talk to him,
Just reach
just
out, say hi, how
reach
you doing,
out.
sir?
And then proceeds to go into, well, she doesn't really understand like what a marriage is supposed to be and all this kind of stuff.
There
And
we
like I
go
was just
again.
like, he kind of talks about how she grew up, maybe, it wasn't the best growing up seeing marriages or whatever, but he also said, marriage is what y'all want it to be. So you guys come up with the parameters together and make sure that marriage is how you guys want it to look like. Not, there's no perfect marriage look.
Right. Right. That's what any normal person would say, right? But then jumping ahead to Dr. Pepper comes and she meets with all the couples and she's meeting with them and they go
Yeah.
on this whole thing about what marriage should look like. And again, it's back to you have to bend to me. I have what marriage looks like. That's what marriage looks like. I don't care what you think. Um, but I will say I agree with him on the whole you don't need to be out here with these male friends drinking and staying overnight. Like, that's not what I see in my marriage. And I don't think any husband would see that as part of a marriage. And I think they showed a flashback to Pastor Cal even saying, I'm married, and I would not find that acceptable. And
Mm-hmm.
why is it so acceptable? Like, why does she push that narrative so much that, if I'm drinking and I need to stay over, I should be able to stay over at my guy friend's house? Problem number one, why are you drinking so much that you need to stay over at your guy friend's house?
That was my first question. When she first said she was passing out every weekend at people's houses.
Yes.
And then she's like, oh, what if it's raining really bad?
Yeah, coming up with
Girl,
these scenarios that are so out.
girl, you grown. Okay. If it's raining really bad, you need to go to work. Don't you take your behind up and go to work? What are you talking about? Get
Yeah.
a Uber.
I,
What? This is 2021. Stop, or 2020, whenever this was filmed. But come on now.
yeah, so I wonder is this more to these male friends than she's leading on? Is it
I
just
don't
that
think so.
independent streak in her that's just like you're not going to tell me what I'm
I
not
think
going to
that's what it
do?
is.
But then again, you're married now. Why?
Yeah.
How would that just just think about it? Why would that be acceptable? Why would you think your husband or flip the coin? Would you be okay with your husband out there sleeping over at these female friends' homes like that? Now, I think she probably would say, well, yeah, she'll come up with a reason why. But no, ma'am.
But then she's also like, well, you're not gonna be here anyway, so I could do it on the days that you flying out and you're not home anyway. So what does it matter? And he was like, well, the days I'm here, I need you to be here. But it was just like going back and forth. But I just feel like she she is trying to put her foot down on something because she feels like she has no control over anything. And so, even though it's irrational,
Mm-hmm.
that she would really think that it's going to be okay for you to sleep over somebody's house more than one. Like, this is like you're saying you're instituting this as a rule. Like, it's going to happen. It's not
Regularly.
going to be a one off. It's going to happen. What is your problem? Why is this a problem? And I think she's just trying to find something where she's just like, no, I'm not moving into your house. I am going to sleep over at anybody's house that I want to sleep over. These are my friends. I am going to do this and this and this because I feel like she feels that she may be losing herself with Eric. So I feel like if it wasn't Eric, she would be more open not to do this stuff. I think if it wasn't the way how he was, where he
How he
just
comes
has
across.
to,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's like he's forcing her to do something, even though it makes sense what he's saying. After a while, you just be like, no, though. So then I don't know how the marriage is supposed to work with that, where you're basically, you have your own separate agenda of why you're doing something, and it's not rational. It's just, you just don't feel like being controlled. That don't sound good to me. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what to do. And I'm surprised that Dr. Pepper didn't bring up the whole alcohol thing when she was right in front of her face.
Right. There was a couple times when she was meeting with the couples. I just thought, oh, okay, she's gonna come back and bring this up. And she didn't. They
Mm-mm.
didn't show it. But that would have been
No, yeah.
definitely something they would have
I
put
would think they
in
would show that.
if she asked
I
that.
mean, the amount of times they zoom in on this alcohol pouring, I would think they would have brought that up
Listen,
in that
that
meeting.
one scene when she started cutting up lines, I said, oh, she drinking. She about to come up.
We
And then
know
sure
what else is
enough,
that for? She was smashing limes. I was like, okay, girl. Yeah, so we'll go into that. So she meets with Eric's sister-in-law,
sister-in-law. Mm-hmm.
and that was interesting. I guess they were just talking about, oh, how's it going, and how, how's any issues or whatever. And she was just talking about how, I guess Eric is being unreasonable because she has guy friends and blah blah blah. And the girl was just like, I don't, I don't think he's gonna be okay with that. I mean,
Right?
what? What are you saying, ma'am? I don't understand. So that whole meeting, I was like, y'all could have just cut that out and made the episode short. I didn't need that in my life.
Very true. Very true. But again, the sister-in-law was like, yeah, Eric's not gonna go for that. Yeah, not too many men are gonna go for that. That go and be with these guy friends staying the night and all of that. So nothing new, nothing we know already.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else with them?
Maybe they're the ones keeping her cats. That's why she want to stay over there.
Maybe.
I don't know. Okay. Yeah. Nothing else from them.
Okay. Brianna and Vincent.
Okay. Yeah, that's who I have next. They kind of started the scene with her at a dance studio, tap dancing. So she brought him there to kind of see that that was her passion growing up, but she thought she wouldn't make it to, have a future and a career in it. So she went to the next best things because she was good at math, to go into engineering because she thought she would make good money there.
Mm-hmm.
But it was something that she kind of wish she would have stuck with a little bit more, and why and all that kind of stuff. So he was there. He looked like he was into it and everything. And they were just talking about, the future, and, she brought up kids in the future or whatever. And she just like, to me, she just ruined this whole nice conversation that they had about everything. And then she's just like, a long time from now. And I'm like, girl, he don't want to be a long time from now. Stop it.
I was like, speak up, Vincent. Like, what is a long time?
That is him speaking up. His face, the way how he be looking, his whole, like, he be turning a whole nother color. Like, he is speaking up. And she keeps trying to be like, but no, though. But then don't bring it up. Let the man, he already know what he got to deal with right now. Why are you going to be like, a long, long time? Stop, girl. I'm going to give this man a heart attack.
I know. I like the part though. She was kind of being very vulnerable with him, talking about growing up and colorism within the community. And he said something like, as her husband, it like hurts me to hear that. And I'm like, oh, that's so sweet.
Yeah, I think that's something that you and I should talk about at a future episode, colorism, and kind of the effects of Black women and maybe Hispanic women too, because they face colorism too.
Mm-hmm.
Growing up in societies that, kind of people against each other, and before you even realize what's really happening. Because as kids, you're just like, you see the videos where you're a kid, you play with anybody, anything. You're not scared of animals. You're not scared of insects and rodents. You don't
Yeah,
see,
there's no fear. Yeah.
there's no fear of anything. It's just like, oh, that's a person just like me. We have eyes, mouth, whatever. It doesn't matter. We look different. So I think that'll be something interesting for us to talk about, maybe our experiences and kind of, things that we know
Okay. Spoiler alert. It all goes back to slavery. But
about.
yeah, we can do an episode like that. Okay. So then Dr. Pepper comes and meets with Brianna and Vincent, and she's there to talk about those questions from last week that each significant other had for unanswered questions that each significant other had for the other person. And so she came right in talking about, okay, so did y'all resolve things? And they're like, yeah, we talked about it, we resolved. No, they hadn't. So first they come up is about Vincent sleeping in. And
Lord have mercy.
Vincent called her out, was kind of like, yeah, she's not compromising. She's talking about go to bed early and getting off my phone early. And Dr. Pepper was like, yeah, no, that's not compromising. What's the problem? Like, what is it? And she, always from the outside perspective, you see and you hear things that the other person may not even realize that they're verbalizing. So like with him saying, again, I'm not lazy. And she's like, so she thinks you're lazy if you sleep in. And so they were able to say, oh, no, it's not the laziness. And then she was able to say, Brianna, that, she just wants to have more time together to eat breakfast and whatever. So finally, Dr. Pepper had to say, okay, so can y'all not like split time that like 2 days out the week he gets to sleep in and the other time he gets up? It's like over time you guys will work out a schedule and it'll work out. So glad that she could come in and finally find a middle ground for the two of them. But I don't know. I guess for me, I'm kind of like, that was a simple solution. They didn't think about that.
Yeah, I don't know if it's because I don't. This is one of those things where I'm like, what's the actual problem here? Is it because he's not sleeping in, or is it because of Brianna wanting to get her way with every situation? And this one situation, he wants to do it the way how he wants to do it, without, the undue pressure of her saying, well, this is better for you. So I think he's just like, this is my foot in the sand. Like, I want to sleep in and I don't want you to feel guilty about it. I don't want you to make me feel like I'm lazy, because he said something and she's like, well, maybe I did say something like that, where maybe she indicated not the words lazy, but basically maybe like he was being unproductive or he's wasting the day or something, where he felt that she was implying that he was lazy. You know what I mean? So he was just like, can I just do this? And then you're not even willing to compromise. Now that I told you that this is bothering me, or this is something that is an issue for me, that you're just like, well, no, you change something else in order to basically fall in line with what I want. And she was just like, no, you can't just do that. Sorry. And I just thought the whole conversation with Dr. Pepper, their body language was telling, because usually they're all like snuggled up and all this kind of stuff. And they were kind of a little like lean one this way and lean that way. So you could tell they weren't like, that fully wasn't resolved. But I don't think it's just the situation of that. It's more behind the scenes of how he feels with her sometimes. So,
okay.
Maybe he's still stressed out with these kids because, child, they done moved into the next topic about possibly adopting a kid. And he was just like, I don't know about that.
I never thought about it. And I was like, that's just a flat out no. He's not interested in it.
He was just like, what? Because she was like, a valid concern is, what if she can't have kids? That's a possibility for people. So he was just like, oh, well. but I think we need to go to the doctor and find some stuff out and learn and educate. And I was like, you was listening to me.
That's what I said.
But I know you was listening to me. Cause yeah, get your facts together before you just shut this down. And maybe they'll tell you, hey, actually, you probably need to have a kid within 2 years, or this could happen, or you're fine, or we could put you on a medication, or we can do this different thing just to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. I mean, when you're pregnant, you go to the doctor all the time. So I don't think you're just gonna be passed out where no one's looking at you, no one's checking your blood pressure, no one's, making sure that you're good. You're gonna be up in that doctor's office like constantly. So
being monitored and everything.
yeah. So that was it that I have for them, I think.
Well, my only thing I'll add to is there still are options if she's not able to have children. So even if adoption is not an option for them, being biological, there's still the surrogate. Like they can still use his sperm and still use her egg and have somebody else carry the child. If it really is, we want biological children and her body is just not physically able to do that.
I don't know much information about that. That could be another episode too. Let's find somebody. Any of our listeners have had experience with surrogacy, or what's the other option? You could either do a surrogate or
like the IVF,
or IVF. Yeah. So if anybody's ever had that and are willing to talk about it, I think that'll be good for people to know more information about that process, because I don't know that much, or how the process works. I don't know how expensive that kind of stuff is. I mean, I was talking to my dental hygienist the other day because she just wouldn't stop talking to me while doing my teeth. Anyway, she was saying how she was going to do an adoption, and she actually ended up, they found someone, they actually paid for about halfway through her pregnancy, all of her medical fees and everything. And the lady ended up deciding to keep her baby. And you just get nothing back. You get no baby, and you can't do anything, because it's like a weird type of agreement. It's not like you must do this because it's still your child. Like you have to sign off your parental rights after the baby's born. So there's it's like a contract, but you can't get guarantees until the rights are signed away. So, but through the process, if you want to be first in line for this baby, then you have to agree on certain terms, whatever terms you come up with. But that doesn't mean, even if you fulfill all of that, they can still change their mind. And I was like, oh, that's a hard one.
Yeah.
Right? You're expecting like that baby, while that baby's growing, your expectations is growing. You're probably preparing, probably getting your stuff together. You're also giving money to the mother. You're
right.
doing all this kind of stuff. And it's like, oh, you could just change your mind. So
that would be an interesting topic, but it is an option for them though. No, maybe not one they'll choose, but it is an option. Yes. Okay, who's next on your list?
I have Clara and Ryan, about this much notes.
That's how much notes?
That's it.
Okay. Yeah, that's about the same for me.
So Ryan goes and meets with Clara's mom, and they have a discussion. And I don't know what, I don't know. Basically, the end of that discussion is, what do you think Clara's going to feel about, raising kids in the church? Because he brought up the fact that he is interested in having kids, and she was like, oh, okay, good for you, or whatever. And so the mom was like, yeah, maybe things will change, because before I had Clara, I never went to church. And after I had her, I wanted her to be like in some kind of community, like a religious community. So that's why I joined the church, and that's why we went. But it wasn't my priority before. And so he was like, oh, maybe she'll be the same way.
I would not bet on that. I would not. That's too risky.
At all, because her experience of why she doesn't want to be raised in the church is going to be different from her mom. Right. Her mom made her go to church, and maybe there was things in that she did not like. If her mom is saying she never went to church, that she don't have that experience. So you cannot use that to be like, oh, maybe she could, sir. What? That don't even make no sense.
Yeah.
So that's all I have for that whole conversation.
Well, yeah, same here. That he met with a mom, that conversation. Then later they both went back to the house. Or maybe they were at the house at the same time, they just split it up differently.
Maybe.
I didn't
Yeah.
look at the clothing and see if they had the same clothes on or whatever.
I feel like he had different clothes.
Okay, I felt like that too, but I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah.
So they both go back to their house, her house, and they're looking at her old bedroom and everything. And one of the notes I have is they serve pizza. Like, I don't know, like, not there's anything wrong with pizza, but I don't know, like, I just wasn't expecting that. Like, cook dinner, like,
maybe they can't cook. You can't be judging these people.
Take out pizza.
Oh well, take out, yeah. But I'm just saying,
I don't know. I just don't think if my new son-in-law is coming to my house for the first time, I don't think I would be serving pizza. Like, I would
poison them. She might not know how to cook.
So that's just me. That's just my little thing. But the interesting little conversation they did have was about the Usher CD and how she had the Usher CD and her parents were kind of like, no, you can't listen to this. And so she said that they broke the CD.
She's like, what? Me? I don't remember that.
And I'm like, Usher? Really? What was Usher?
And then Ryan went through the whole, well, he was talking about this in Confession. So he was talking about this. I was like, okay.
Oh, I couldn't understand what he was saying.
He was saying what the main song was talking about, like basically cheating on whatever. He went through the whole thing. I was like, okay, Ryan know about Confessions.
He probably was hiding it and listening himself.
I wonder if he got some of them Usher books. Anywho, so yeah, they were going through that whole thing and just reminiscing about. But I think that was also telling about how she grew up, and I think that's why she don't want her kids to grow up like that. That, you know, you can't listen to certain things, you can't do certain things, or where it was like more aggressive. If you go snap my CD in half, that means okay, you know, not just take it away. You know, so her relationship with the church might be something that she just doesn't want to pass down. So he's gonna have to understand that or talk to her about what their plans would be, you know, if we are gonna move forward.
Yeah, and she made a comment about, I think her dad wasn't going to church, so her mom was taking her, but yeah, so she's like, I think it's fine that Cody, sorry, yeah, that, you know, you can be religious and go to church, but that doesn't mean I have to and our children have to. So my parents, that worked for them and it's fine, so that could work for us as well. We'll see. Okay, Dr. Pepper comes to visit, and she came out swinging. Dr. Pepper was like, straight out, okay, so y'all haven't done anything yet. Have y'all talked about this? When is this gonna happen? Have you told him how you feel? And Ryan kind of still, he really had that kind of look on his face, like, oh wait, what? This is really an issue for you? Why didn't I know this? And then listening to another podcast talking about the episode, they were like, she's never talked to him and told him. She's told everyone else except him. So that's why he really is not knowing. It looks like he's delusional. He doesn't know what's going on, but she hasn't really vocalized it to him.
I agree with that to a certain point. I think she's brought it up, but she has not brought it up in the intensity that she does with other people.
Yeah.
It's just like, well, when, you know, like more passive, like what you said, she is passive aggressive. So she's just like, so, you know, whatever, but then you're super upset about it and you're super frustrated about it. So you gotta like make that known as well. And that's why I said last week, I feel like they faking the funk where they want it to be like, this is what I need to do. So I'm not going to rock the boat, but you're mad. So you might as well say what's on your mind.
Right.
You can say it in a nice way, but you got to be direct about it. Like, this is not okay for me, or we need to have some timelines, or we need to do something to get to that point. And you ain't there. And one of the things that annoys me too, and I think we had this in a previous season, where she feels like she's in love with him, but then doesn't want to tell him that she's in love with him. So
When they
maybe
were sitting there on the couch, oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
When they were sitting there on the couch, I was like, now would be the perfect time for her to just let it all out, tell him she loves him, tell him, like just be very vulnerable and just express it. Because
the letter thing.
No, meeting with
okay.
Yeah, meeting with Dr. Pepper still.
Okay.
Because I think they start going into the whole I love you. We'll get there. Hold on. But yes, so just say it. But I think what goes back to what she said before, she don't want to say it and it's never returned back to her. Like he never
don't matter. But what's the difference?
You frustrated,
if you love him, you still gonna get hurt then. I don't understand what the difference would be. So if you love him and you want him to say back, maybe you would be that step forward where, wow, she loves me. Like maybe that'll make him realize.
And that's what I think. So what were your thoughts on when he was saying, oh, I don't know if I want to say I love you because I don't want it to become kind of like a habit. Like I'm just saying it just to say it.
I loved what Dr. Pepper told him. I tell my kids I love them every time I talk to them. And I mean it every single time. It's not a habit. I actually love them and will always love them.
And he's over there like, for sure. Yeah, I tell my parents the same thing. So what is that about then? Like, why would you think that you're saying it and it's not gonna mean anything?
I don't know where that it might be something else deeper, but that's what I'm saying. If you don't have that conversation, then y'all just gonna be silently having what we said, coexisting together, not talking about nothing. Just be like, okay, I'm mad over here, or I'm oblivious over here, and just okay, we have a great marriage, 10 out of 10. Yay.
Yeah. 10 out of 10. Yes. Okay. Yeah, that's what y'all think. But I totally agree with what we spoke about last week, that for them, they want to give this image of having this really good relationship. And I think they do get along. Like you said, they can coexist and get along, but y'all were not at a 10 out of 10 at that moment.
At any what moment? Well, I guess maybe when they first met, they kind of felt like they seemed more happy when they first met. They seem more of a banter and kind of talking than they do right now. I don't know. It's like dwindling for me.
Okay.
But I guess we'll move on to when they were writing the letters to their former selves. I don't know. Did Virginia and Eric and Vincent and Brianna do that exercise?
No, just Clara, Ryan, and
Haley and Jacob, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So so they write these letters and Ryan was just like, yeah, I wouldn't change anything. Do your thing. It's gonna be great over here. Don't worry about it. And she writes this long soliloquy about, not being afraid to love, not being afraid to tell people that you love them, and blah, blah, blah. So I was like, oh,
she wrote that letter to him.
She did, but I thought she was going to be direct at the end, like, and also I want to tell you that I love you. Mm. If you don't tell me, you never tell me, I'm just letting you know that's how I feel today about you. I thought that's where she was going to go, because the whole thing was about basically her relationship today. And she said nothing. I guess she was, because she read it first.
Yeah, so she read hers first.
Waiting for him to say something. And then when nothing happened, she was just like, all right, well, that was a great exercise. And he's just looking at her. And then he's like, okay, guess we're done.
And we see something very similar with Haley and Jacob when they write their letters.
Let's get to Haley. Are we done with Clarence?
Yeah, I'm done with them.
All right. Haley and Jacob.
Oh, Lord.
What the hell? So they had 2 dates. And I was like, yay, they're finally going places and it's doing something. I know the race go-kart thing, but I wasn't feeling that. So the batting cages, she goes there because I guess she used to play softball.
Mm-hmm.
So she was hitting and he came there apparently with hard bottoms and jeans. And she was so annoyed with his outfit. And so they play, and he basically hits nothing or two or whatever out of like 20. And he was like, oh, this is too slow. I don't understand. And she was just like, yeah, I beat you, blah, blah, blah.
Mm-hmm.
And she loved this. Okay. And then they talk, and then she was talking about how the things that used to happen when she was younger, how she didn't want to put on a helmet because she just didn't want to, how she went to the pool and she just didn't do it if she didn't want to. So I was a little sassy, and he was like, oh, so you were a diva. And she was like, not a diva? What do you mean? How am I gonna be a diva? Like, I was sassy, but I was not a diva. And I was just like, girl.
He don't called you every name he don't called you has been the truth. Going back to the Karen and then to this.
Cause we gonna see the diva come out. We ain't see the behind the scenes, but we gonna see the diva come out when she talks to him out. Yeah. So she's obsessed with his clothing. I don't really understand what this is. I don't know why he has to come in tennis shoes for you to be like, okay, we're together. I don't know what this obsession is.
I think it's going back to what you said, just nitpicking, just finding, you have to find something to just.
But I don't understand the reasoning behind the nitpicking. I feel like sometimes Virginia does it, but I think she has a reason. She feels like she's drowning. But I'm just trying to understand, Haley, of what is the problem with this man wearing jeans and shoes.
I think she just doesn't like him. So it just gives another reason of why I don't like him.
I don't like you.
Yeah.
Stop playing with this man. Let him go. So that whole thing, whatever. Then they go to mini golfing. And finally, I was cheering him on. I was over here like, Jacob. I had Noelle doing it. She was like, yeah. Because I was like, I'm so tired of her. She always be gloating in his face. I guess that's
yes,
thing of fun. And now that she was losing, she was getting so mad. She was just like
acting like a what?
In practice before. So what? You can lose something. Oh, finally, I guess I can give you something. And she was just not having a good time. And he said he gave her the name Dragon.
Right. He was like, listen, I gave you a choice. I gave you a chance to come up with your own name. You didn't want to come up with one. So now I will crown you Dragon.
She just doesn't know how to let go. You out having a good time. He's saying, let's come up with little fun names. You're like, nah. Why would you come up with fun names? Why do we need? Just use my name. And he was just like, okay. So I'll be Eagle and you will be
blowing all that fire. Oh man, that was a sign right there how he really feeling about her.
And he just kept bringing up, oh, Dragon, -2 points.
Like, this ain't fun no more. I'm keep a score. This real.
Oh my gosh, I loved every minute of it. I was cheering. I was like, yes, finally. But they didn't even show the end if he won or not. But he was
up by 5, so I think he won. Yeah.
I was like, go ahead. But she just be having this look. She'd be like,
How she look?
Ugh, I don't like it. So yeah, I was excited about that. Then they go home.
Wait a minute before you get there. Well, for me, when he brought out those pictures, and he showed one picture about the golf outing he went with his
with those pants,
those shorts, girl, those were like some Daisy Dukes.
He cut up his own jeans. Those were not even bought. And just was like, he said, IT people are not that uptight. So we had a good time out there. Hilarious.
That I was crying, laughing, looking at him, and his legs are so muscular. So
Like, see, if he dressed like that places, then I'll be like, Haley, you got a point.
right.
It's just too much. Too much. Okay. But that is hilarious to me. I was dying.
Okay, so now we can move
Sorry, I
forward.
forgot. Thank you for bringing that up. Uh, so anyway, they go and they talk. I don't know. I think they write the letter here before Dr. Pepper gets there. And they're
Yes, because
talking
I have it.
about, yeah. So I don't remember the whole thing, but basically he was just like, yeah, the bracelet thing still kind of annoys me or bothers me. Right. And she was just like, why? Why does that bother you? And he was like, well, because I bought you the bracelet and you just never wore it. And then it's not even here in this state. So that bothers me. And so she was just like, but I didn't even think it was a big deal. And then they do flashbacks of how many
Yes.
times he's brought up this bracelet. And you're going to tell this man,
You didn't know it was a big
it was
deal?
a big deal.
I'm like, we're just learning about this, but you don't know about this since day 3 or whatever they go back to, that this man has kept bringing this up. I mean, by the 3rd time, I would have been like, listen, mama, just FedEx this overnight. Let me make sure that this thing is here. Yes, it's a big deal to him. How can you not see that? How?
Because she don't want to see it. She just be like, oh, what? And then she's like, well, I don't see you wearing the hat that I bought you. And he was just like, ma'am, are you talking about the $2 hat that somebody probably done gave you versus an $800 bracelet that I invested into you? That's where you're talking about the hat?
Yeah.
I'm going to give you your hat back.
Oh, and put it right on the dresser.
Since we talking about that as a symbol of my love to you. Here.
Return it.
Okay, so then that escalated and turned into craziness. And then they meet with Dr. Pepper. I don't know if it was the same day or next day, because that was like the first thing that came up.
I think it must have been like the next day. And my note after that whole incident, I'm like, why are they torturing themselves for the next however many days? Just be done. Be done. This whole thing and this bracelet, that should have been kind of like the last nail in the coffin for this relationship. Just be done.
Yeah.
But and then when Dr. Pepper came, they're sitting on the opposite ends of the couch. I said, oh, maybe this is finally gonna be the end. Like maybe
it's not gonna be the end. Come on.
Like maybe no. Dr. Pepper gonna come in and say, listen, y'all
don't do that. There's only been one instance where they told them, no, don't do this, that I've seen.
Who's that?
They're not oh my gosh. Sorry, I can't remember. Okay. But it was one, I think someone who actually separated like on the show, like this is not good. So don't do this anymore. I can't remember their names. But yeah, so they go through it and Dr. Pepper points out he is hurt about this bracelet, that it's not even that you, because he said it's not that you don't wear it, it's just not here. It's not even like, oh, I don't want to wear it because it's expensive or it doesn't go with my outfit today, but at least it's here. And she was like, he's hurt by this. And she's like, well, I didn't know, but she's like, but he's telling you and you're still saying that it's not a big deal. So it kind of shows your effort in this relationship as well. It's not just about the bracelet. You telling me you can't call your mama and tell them to send you a bracelet in 6 weeks that you knew that was going to be a big deal? How could that have not helped? And she crying from week to week about how much effort she's putting into something and how he's not doing anything, and you can't even get a bracelet back?
You said she ain't putting in no effort.
What effort have you put in, man?
Overnight. That thing could have been overnighted and back in that house.
2 weeks for it to come.
It still would have been back there, yes.
And she could have just said, oh, my mom mailed it out today, so I'm going to get it in a couple days, couple weeks. just the fact that you tried to get it back, I think would have been the big deal.
Right. And her thing, she's like, oh, I just never really thought about it.
Right.
I didn't think about that.
Right. You did not.
Yeah.
Not
That shows a lot right there.
And she's like, well, I was just trying to focus on like not fighting and arguing with you instead of, but you bought him clothes. You went and had a whole shopping spree, but you could have picked up the phone and be like, Mom, please send that thing back. No? Too much? Okay. So I was just like, okay. So I was glad finally, Dr. Pepper, you done went directly. Don't give Haley a pass. She need all of the heat, all the smoke that you, everybody else. Go ahead and give it to her too, because it's ridiculous. I don't even think there was a resolution with that conversation. It was just like, you know, he's hurt by this. You should do something about that.
Yeah, they just got to commercial and went to back to another couple. Like, yeah, there was definitely no resolution.
No, like, this is what you should do. Maybe you should try this. It was nothing. That whole thing was just like cut.
Right. So then they come back and they show her on the phone with her mom.
I hated this whole conversation.
You hate?
I hated the whole thing.
She finally asking her mom to send the bracelet, and her mom was just like, he shouldn't have gave it to you if he wanted it back. And calling him tacky. And I'm just like, well, at first the man he never asked for it back. He's just like, it should be with you. I gave you the gift. It should be in your presence, wherever you are. You're here. It should be here. It shouldn't be in, I think, Alabama, where your mama is. And he's so tacky asking for it back.
I'll drive it back myself if this is gonna cause such a. I was like, shut up. You should be a bigger person. Tell your daughter, well, if it's that important to him, I'll make sure I get it back to you, but don't hold that against him.
Simple as that.
Nothing. She probably don't like him either.
I definitely think that he's not the ideal guy they had in their mind for her. So they're not invested in that, and they're not going to tell her what she needs to hear and try to
only her friend, which I thought she was going to be the worst
one. Yeah.
Only her friend. I think if her friend heard the situation, she would also have something to say to Haley, like, girl, just wear the bracelet once in a while. That would be you trying.
And he would see it and know.
Asking him questions about what he's been doing the last 10 years, that's trying. The heck you like investigating him for?
I just don't understand. What was he doing for the last 10 years of his life? Haley she done flew out the little nest of this marriage. She's not interested. She's not trying as much as she thinks she is. It says. The lie detector has determined that it's a lie. So she just needs to say, you know what? I'm done. I'm out. This isn't working for me. And there's no shame in that. At this point, it's just you just making yourself just look worse and worse. And
you're on my worst list now. She made it. She made it on my
your worst list. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because just dragging him along, even though you're not feeling this man. I don't know, maybe the sex was bad, because that's when it started.
Well, I thought he said it happened before they had sex, or somebody mentioned something happened before. So they had, and I think they've only had it at one time.
But they were so happy. They woke up, they were like, oh yeah, it happened, and then it would just at night. It was just like something. She had a panic attack, like Chris. I don't know. Maybe that's why Chris was talking about her. Maybe Chris wanted Haley.
The white queens. Wow. So that would be the thing that was the turning point for her. That's
when it happened. It was the next day.
Maybe. And maybe she already was having these little feelings, and then that happened, and it just really was like she couldn't get back onto the path to try to work something out with him. Maybe
it must have been bad, because what else happened? And she never said anything. She never said, well, you said this or you did this, or it was even, he was like, tell me what happened. I
The
don't
only
even
thing
know.
I can remember of something that happened was after the whole incident at the excuse me, in Vegas, and she went out and was with the other couples, and he accused her of having the boyfriend, and she was like, oh, that really like shut her down. But
No, she
there's
was, the
something
fact
more.
that you went out without him, you were already feeling some kind of way.
Yes.
So what happened there? And the only other thing that happened that was big between them is that they had sex. So she never said that they had an argument. He was, even because he was so caught off guard, you were not going to be caught off guard if you just had an argument with somebody about something else and you see them somewhere else. You would be like, well, dang, she was really mad. But he was just like, why would you tell me you're going to have a girls' night and then everybody else is there but
And
me?
that is definitely probably when he started really feeling rejected, because even Dr. Pepper said you've rejected him. He's feeling rejected, and it goes right
In
back
front
to
of
him.
everybody. I mean, it's bad enough it's gonna be on camera, but then everybody scattered, like they
Yes.
that means you were talking about him. That means this was like a whole plan or something, or maybe not a plan with them, but maybe when she got there, she was just like, oh, I can't deal. Or maybe she told them something. The fact that they just got up was just like,
not running, scattering like roaches.
Okay, so I was like, they all left? What is happening? So I don't know. There's probably a lot more to that story, but
it's definitely something.
It all happened like back to back. So I'm sure something was just amiss, and she could never come back, never get back to it.
Again, that's early into the marriage. So why torture yourself? And I guess because she's thinking, I'm gonna give it a try. I'm really gonna seriously.
They did. It did. I could see if they gave it. I could see that they tried up until when they went to celebrate their 1 month. That would have been it for me. And they had that blow up at the little winery place, or that would have been like, we don't need to do this no more. For what? Yeah. That's it. So yeah, I know. So the couple who shall not be named this episode didn't have any appearance. They didn't even mention them, which I kind of like. I feel like it's torture to have them come and do meetings and all this kind of stuff when what are they going to talk about? You know, I know they're coming back for decision day, but why have these people have to set up meetings, talk about nothing? So I was happy that they had no airspace. We're talking about Chris and Paige, that they did not show up at all this episode. So
you said the couple don't have no name, and then you named them.
Oh, I'm sorry. I don't. You know, this might be first watch for one of our viewers, so we just gotta tell them. So, yeah, that's it.
Okay. Well, we're getting to the end of the road. We were just talking. We think there might be about 4 more episodes left. Next week they go on like a couples retreat. Excuse me. So we'll see that, and then it's usually decision day, and then they have a reunion. So we will be here to recap all of the rest of the season, the next 4 episodes or so. Oh, excuse me, something all in my throat. So before we leave, though, we want to remind you to subscribe to the channel right there below. Watch our previous videos. We have a playlist of all of our previous recaps of Married at First Sight season 12. Excuse me. And again, we have other videos, release videos on Wednesday, so you can go back and watch those as well. And before we leave, like we always do, we want to remind you to do what?
Before we get to that tagline, I just want to also say we will be watching Unmatchables. That starts next Wednesday. We'll see if we want to review that one. We'll check out the first episode and talk about it briefly next time. So if you want to check it out with us, go ahead and do that because I think it comes on right after Married at First Sight.
Yes. And also, we had a viewer that recommended that we check out Married at First Sight Australia. So we want to hear your feedback. Let us know what you think we should maybe recap next. So, Unmatchables, maybe Married at First Sight Australia. What else is out there? Reality TV. Reality TV. Let us know, comment below. Okay, so now our closing tagline. Before we leave, we want to remind you to do what?
Protect your throne.
See you next week.